All right, you know, Scott Brown is a fairly modest guy, but I will say this, and he doesn't brag about it, but when he has a backyard barbecue, very important people come, including each and every one who wants to be the president of the United States. So you're invited by the senator to just sort of chat. It's a good idea you show up, maybe bring a hoagie with you. The former Massachusetts senator with us right now. Jeb Bush did, right, Scott? And he wanted to try to reassure folks that he is still a viable candidate. Did he succeed?
Yeah, Neil, first of all, thank you for having me on. And last night we did have Governor Bush, and over 300 people showed up with that
right?
very same. Yeah, well, and that was number 2 behind Carly. We had about over 450 when she came. But with Governor Bush, I'll tell you, he got off the bus and he was on fire. People who left that event were like, oh, whoa, okay. It took every question. And the format it's called the No BS Backyard Barbecue. We've talked about it on your show. People walk in. These are true undecided New Hampshire voters. And they walk in, they grab a beer and a hot dog. The candidate comes in, makes a 5-minute presentation, then bang, right into the questions. And he answered every question, in my opinion, and my wife's, which is way more important than me, thoroughly, honestly,
well, she has taste.
And
She has taste.
very direct.
But let me ask you, Senator, I mean, we were showing all the candidates you have had. I mean, but you mentioned Carly Fiorina, we said John Kasich, a host of others. They stop by, they come by, they're trying to pitch the fact that they would make a good president, but oftentimes it's the moment in which they arrive, right? So right now you have these 300 or so who are listening to Jeb Bush justify a candidacy that, to hear the mainstream media tell it, is imploding. How did he answer concerns that he's falling apart, or that the money's running dry, or that he's not serious? Right. Or we saw this bit with Jonathan Karl of ABC News being asked about whether he's going to quit the race before Iowa. He says no. Sure. How did he deal with all that?
Well, you know, it's interesting. He walked in. He walked off that bus, went in, and nailed it. He was on fire, and I'm pretty critical. And then he walked out, and the 20 or so media outlets that were out there just said, so when are you quitting? When are you going to stop? And it's like two different realities. And they were there. They heard him. They saw him. They saw the response of the people. A lot of it, I'll be honest with you, I think is kind of gotcha. They're trying to say, hey, when are you quitting? When are you quitting? Instead of saying, hey, you just had 300 people in there, and you did a pretty darn good job. What do you think, Governor? So it's the way they ask the questions. He did very well, and the fact he's spending all this time in New Hampshire, and Neil, you know, and so do your viewers, that in New Hampshire in particular, 4, 5, 6, 7 days out is when they really make those decisions.
You know, you're right about that. That's one of the things that I know Chris Christie is pouncing on, that the trend is his friend, that his own town hall meetings are very, very packed, very, very crowded, and that doesn't show up in polls. Or does it? It's just not appreciated until closer to the event. What do you say?
Well, the fact that they're going around and they're doing the town halls. Now, Chris has done a tremendous. We had about almost 200 at that event.
Really?
And first we had Kasich. Then the next, and people say, "Oh my God, I love the governor." And then the next day, Christie came in, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, I love Chris Christie." And then the next week, Carly came in. She says, "Oh my goodness, I love Carly."
Who had the biggest crowd? Who had the biggest crowd?
So far it was Carly. We had over 450 for her. But
was that right after the last debate, or the debate before, where she did well, or was it timing, or what?
I'd have to check, but it was probably after the first debate. We have Ted Cruz coming and Marco Rubio coming at the end of this month, and then we'll probably wrap it up with Dr. Carson and probably Trump, and I'm working on logistics, hopefully with Rand. And then we'll wrap it up probably by mid-December.
Who helps with the hot dogs?
You know, it's funny. This is my wife's idea, first of all, and we have the UNH and St. Anselm's Republican clubs coming. They help. They do help me with the setup. I go to BJ's a couple of days before and grab 300 hot dogs and about 15 cases of beer. No
Italian sausage, Senator. You're showing your waspy base here.
Listen, I gotta pay the bills in here. You know, I mean, this is on me. So we're doing it for every candidate, and they seem the thing that's so remarkable about it is, number one, we're the only couple in the country where these presidential candidates are coming to their house, number one. Number two, it's the only area, I think, in the country where every person can go to debate number 1 through, question number 1 to question candidate number 8 and see them all, and then ultimately make a fair and informed and thoughtful decision.
That's very impressive. So that's what we call having juice, Senator. You know, I have a party at my house. I have to pay people to come. All right.
Well, Neil, if you invite me to your party, I will come and bring a lot of people.
Bring the throngs. Bring the throngs. Senator, thank you very much. Good seeing you, and best to you and your family.
Nice to see you, Neil.